This thing about to go live on. I think this meeting will be live streamed, but Stan is meaning you consent to being, got it.
Yeah.
This thing about to go live on. So I think
I'm too excited.
Live stream, but Stan is meaning you consent to being, got it.
Yeah.
This thing about to go live on. So
I'm too excited. That was me.
All right, you guys, y'all ready? I'm about to let them all in. Here we go. We're about to let them in. You guys ready? I'm gonna make you a host, Deborah. All right, here we go. Make a co-host. Deborah's co-host.
Yes.
Right, here we go. Deborah, you showing your camera or no?
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
All right, here we go. You can start welcoming everyone.
Now there's a weird light. And you know what? This is my tall chair. Unless, dang it. Hold on.
All right, welcome.
No. Sorry, this really is my tallest chair.
It's okay.
I know, but people always say they can't see me, but it is my tallest chair.
It's because we can't see you. I'm on mute.
Yet.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe we're going to be on YouTube. How exciting.
No, you're on YouTube right now, so.
I know. It's exciting. I don't think I've ever been on YouTube. I'm like a little kid or a big kid. Okay. Is there anybody else in the waiting room? Do we want to wait a few minutes or do we want to get started? So we're going to start with you guys. Wait a minute. I wrote your names down. I have it. I asked your mother how to pronounce you guys' names. Amara and Mula. Okay, so we're going to start with you after I do an introduction, okay? You said. And then we'll do Sade, and then Isaac, and then we're going to do questions and answers. Hi, Beverly. Okay. I guess we should wait for Isaac to come back.
Hello, I have to unmute myself. Hi, now I'm muting back.
Your sister told you about us?
She did. She forwarded the email to me, so here I am.
Good. We may have questions for you, my dear.
Okay,
You are published, so you know we might have questions towards the end.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Where did Isaac go? Oh, there he is. Okay. So we're going to get started. It's 6:37 and people will come in and out or however they want to do it. But again, my name's Deborah Fitch. I'm the vice president of the San Diego Association of Black Social Workers. And this is our first annual Authors Speak event for our chapter. And this is one of the events that the National Association of Black Social Workers asked us to put on. It's to showcase authors within your own chapter. So today we have 4 different authors that we're going to talk about. I did want to talk a little bit, just very briefly, about the San Diego Association of Black Social Workers. We have been in San Diego since 1970. We are a member chapter of the National Association of Black Social Workers. And by that, we do have a code of ethics that we follow. I'm not going to read the code of ethics tonight, especially since this is going to be on YouTube. But needless to say, we are concerned with the welfare of the Black family, the Black community, and the Black individuals. So this is what we're doing tonight. And so our 4 authors that we have, and please correct me if I say your names wrong, and I'm really talking about the young people. So we have 2 young people, they're 10 and 11, that are going to talk to us about their books, their writing, the process, what brought them to this. And then that's Amara and Molivo, and then their mom, Sharday Burrell, will talk. And then after that, Isaac Ford. I have some questions. Other people, you can put your questions in the chat, or at the end, we'll allow for questions and answers. Okay, and then we're gonna have about maybe 15 minutes at the end. If people have questions, answers, they can, about the writing process, about the books people have written, or about the San Diego Association of Black Social Workers, if you have any questions about that. So, any questions about any of that? No. All right. So, let's start with our 2 young guests. I'm looking at you guys.
Introduce yourself.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so you want to tell us about your books?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. And pronounce your name for us again.
Hi, my name is Amara Nyanda.
Can you all hear her well?
Yes.
All right, perfect.
And my name is November Nyanda Jr.
Okie dokie. All right, go ahead. Tell us about your books.
Talk about your book.
So our book really just explains to show how to let people be more grateful, especially during COVID and all, and people are locked up inside of their houses, and people during this time of COVID are really learning to be more appreciative of the things that they have now.
Okay, and what's the name of it? Because it's really hard to see.
It's called We Are Grateful.
Oh, okay. And that's you guys.
Uh-huh.
Okay, somebody asked what grade are you guys in?
I'm in middle school, and I'm in 6th grade, and he's in he's in 5th grade.
Okay. Okay, so so you wanted to write about being grateful. What was your process? How did you go about writing it?
So first we started with writing everything down in a notebook, and then we sent it to our editor to correct the grammar and the way that our sentences and add more on. And then we started working on the pictures, which took a while to work on. And then after that, we just started putting everything together.
Oh, okay. So how did you find it? Did your mom help you guys find an editor?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And was this book her idea, or was it your idea?
It was 50-50.
Okay. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. So how did you feel about it? How did you feel about the whole process of writing?
It was kind of fun, but sometimes it got hard because coming up with a whole book, it kind of made us think what should you write in this part, what should you write in the other part, what should you write in this, the other.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So have you told your classmates, do the people you go to school with know you guys have written a book?
Yeah.
Okay. And what do they think? What is their response?
They said, my friends said that they would love to buy a book, and they would like to support us.
Okay. Good. Good. All right. So have you, well, I'm not going to ask you that. So have you decided on a second book?
Well.
Go ahead. Either one.
We've been thinking about it. Yeah.
Okay. And what are some of your thoughts?
Yes, because we want to give our readers a better version of this book, but a different one. And yeah.
Okay, so your next book, are you guys going to write it together?
Yeah.
Okay, did you get extra? Somebody asked, what did your teachers think about you writing the book? Did you get extra credit? Did you get an A?
No, but our teachers thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And who did the pictures?
Well, we actually both did the picture.
Really?
Yeah, we actually both did the pictures.
Okay.
But we also got an editor.
Okay, all right. All right, so now what would you tell other kids? What would you tell other kids your age about writing a book? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that it would be really fun, and I think they should write one too, because it's a really great experience to teach you how to like start your own business and stuff like that.
Okay, okay. So you're starting your own, so you're not going in with your mom's business, you're doing your own business. Well, I don't know. You know, I think it's great. I really think it's great. You know, I mean, I thought about writing a book when I was like 11 and 10, but you know, I didn't. So I think this is absolutely fabulous. Anybody else? Did anybody else have any comments or any? I'm trying to see if there's anything else in the chat. Oh, somebody asked, did you start with an outline?
Yeah.
Did you outline your book?
So the outline, remember when you guys took the notebook and you guys started writing it out? That's what your outline was. You
Oh,
want to describe that process, what that was like, writing it out and then things like that?
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
You want to talk? Yeah, Mulemba wants to talk about the outline.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
The outline, it took a lot of time to like write out what you want the characters to say, and then like the punctuation we wrote that out too, and then like later on in the process of it, we just typed it out.
Great. Somebody said that they purchased the book and they read it to their grandson, which I think is fabulous. And then somebody else said, congratulations. He looks forward to reading your book to his young scholars. And reading and writing is a thing you cannot get away from in school. So this will just help to strengthen that. So I think it's great. I think it's absolutely fabulous. And I thank you guys for coming on. You know, and you look very nice. Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to share? No. I know you're looking at each other. All right. Thank you, guys. All right, Miss Sade, tell us about you've written a couple of books, right?
Yes, I've written 2 books. And just to give you a little background about their
Okay,
story,
go ahead.
their book actually, their book started off because they actually got in trouble.
Oh,
And I think at that point I was tired of having to correct them all the time. So I made them write an essay about being grateful, you know, for everything that you have. And so they wrote the essay, and we actually still have it. You know, maybe when they get older and they write a book about their lives and stuff, they'll maybe insert this in. But the essays that they wrote, they had to read it to me. And I was impressed. I said, well, it's really good.
right.
We should probably turn this into a book. And so during the summer, last summer, we began working on the book. And, you know, it just so happened that I wrote books and I had connections to, you know, editors and things like that. So I kind of knew the process. But I didn't know the process for a children's book.
Right.
So we all had to learn the process together. And I know there are a few parents on here.
Right.
And just this is a perfect example of, like, I don't give my kids allowance.
Right.
I don't give them allowance because they can go outside and go sell a book and make $20. You
Yeah,
know, so and it's about changing their mindset. Like from, hey, I want an allowance for cleaning my room to, hey, I have a business. If I want $100, I can go sell 5 books.
right.
So it's
Right.
about, you know, creating that in the Black community again, in the Black family. And so, you know, example, my daughter, she went to school and told her friends, I have a business. And they couldn't comprehend that her having a book was a business, right? And then it's a family business in the sense of my company published their book. So I have a business, my business upfronted the money for this, and paid for the book to be put, because you got to pay money for it, not free, no handouts with this one. And so we upfronted the money, but I was able to make the money back to the business because they went out and they sold their books during the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, they were on a speaking tour talking to elementary kids, kindergartners online. It was their first year in kindergarten. So the money was already my business upfronted the money, and it was repaid immediately. Instead of them having to go through banks and you know, we created our own banks. And I think that that's important as parents for us to do. So that was just the backstory. They got, you know, it was started off with, you know, it got in trouble, and then it went to, okay, let's write the book. And then we used my editor, we call it LB, but Lakia Brandenburg, and she was able to edit it and teach them how to use the language. And what was so interesting was it took a while for their editing process. And the reason why is because they were responsible for reading that book. They were responsible, you know, this is your duty. You need to do it. And it took like weeks, only a few months, because they were taking their time learning. So as a parent, you know, I thought that was an important process for them to go through. And my philosophy is, if they write papers at school and all they get is a letter grade at the top, they need to write books and find a way to contribute to the family. You know, and that's their way of contributing to not only to the family, but contributing to their future selves.
Right, absolutely. They can pay for college or whatever they want to do. They can do it on their own. That's good. Somebody else asked, what's the difference between writing a children's book or publishing a children's book and publishing like an adult fiction book? What's the difference?
That's a great question. So for me, and Isaac, I'd love to get your take on this too. For me, when it came to the writing process, for writing book, it was, my first book was called What Are You Reaching For? Available on Amazon. That's what they forgot to do. I taught them how to plug their book. They forgot to plug their book. Available on Amazon. What Are You Reaching For? My second book, The Opportunity Guide, is available at SadeBurrell.com. SadeBurrell.com. But those two books, and I'll tell you why, and I'll go into why one is available on Amazon and why the other one is not. I'll get into that, anybody who wants to write a book. But for me, writing my first book, that was my story. Not necessarily, that was my story at that time. At that time, in 2004, and I published a book in 2015. I finished in 2014, we published in 2015. I was going through a divorce at that time. And I had just started graduate school. 2 weeks before graduate school happened, I was getting ready to go through a divorce. Right. Like my life was shifting. And I'm like, how in the world am I going? They were ages 2 and 3 when that happened. And so, and I was going to have, it was hard. And so I wrote my story about how I was making through, how I made it through such a challenging time and still graduated. Still graduated with 3.8 GPA from USC. That's where I met Isaac at. Oh, okay. Isaac there at USC. I was earning my master. He was working at USC. Right. You know, and so with him being there, you know, for me, I would see Isaac. Isaac would see me, and one day we had a conversation. And I realized that, man, I'm going through a lot. But my book started off not as a book; it started off as a video. If you go on YouTube right now, you type in Sade Burrell, what are you reaching for? That video has over 1.2 million views on it. Okay, cool. And so when that video went viral, I said, I should probably turn this into a book. Now that first time I wrote a book, that entire process was just foreign to me. I mean, it was completely foreign. I had never been through that. And so I learned a lot. I lost a lot of money the first time I wrote. By the time I came to my second book, I was able to I learned a lot about that one. So for me, going through the process of writing a book myself, and then having to help them navigate through, because when they wrote their children's book, I'm like, all right, y'all put some words down, but our editor had to teach them how to sound, how it goes for how does a children's book sound.
Right.
And so that's when we really depended on them to write. We're like, all right, what do you want to hear? So we used a lot of their voice in the book. And I took them to Barnes and Noble to look at how characters look in book, how the words are, etc. And so what my daughter was talking about with the characters was that there are images. Mm-hmm. And with these images in the book, we wanted, my daughter, who I think did you draw it? You drew the characters? Yeah, my son drew some of the characters. So they had already in mind what they wanted to look like.
Right.
The illustration process alone was that not a headache? Yeah, it was.
Yeah. They're saying yes. Okay.
It was a lot. And so, having to, not only were they editing and making sure that it had that voice that they wanted it to have, which is the kid's voice, but them making sure that the pictures look like how, and we wanted a Black family,
right,
to show a Black, and we wanted to make sure that we had a Black mom, a Black dad. And if you look at the book, let me show you the book. Here's what's so interesting. So if you look at the book, the mom is like in like a doctor outfit,
right,
like coat on. Because my daughter said she wanted to be a veterinarian. So we said, put her on a white coat. Right. And my son said he wanted to be a teacher. Put him on a tie.
Right.
And so not only is their book, we were very intentional about the images. Yeah. My daughter is taller than my son. So we made sure that my daughter used to wear her hair like this. My son used to have the bald fade.
Right.
So we wanted to show we wanted the book to represent them. So they had every way it had to be in there. And so for me, I'll say that writing a children's book cost me more than publishing my own book.
Right.
And the reason why is this just a tip for anyone who's writing books. When you put color in anything, it starts to cost you. It starts to cost you. And so that's what it was for us. The cost alone for the books, for the amount of pages we had and things like that, that started to get us. But yeah, I don't want to take too much time away from Isaac. I love to hear from Isaac too. So, but that's our background and where we come from and things like that.
Okay, well, does anybody else have any other questions? I'm looking in the chat. If anybody else has any other questions. Okay, so Sade, what's your second book about? I'll get to you, Isaac. What was your second book about?
Yeah, so the second book is called The Opportunity Guide. And that one, I started learning, here's a quote. You either pay for the decisions that you make, or you get paid for the decisions you make.
This is true.
You either gonna pay for them or you're gonna get paid for them. Mm-hmm. And what I started realizing was that I am where I am because I took advantage of opportunities that were presented to me.
Right.
And I learned how to create my own opportunities. And I'm a huge believer that when you learn something, it is your duty to share that information.
Right.
You have to share that information with people. Now, some people say, well, why don't you just give it out for free? Oh, I've given out plenty game for free. Oh, you go online, every video, a whole bunch of it. The reason why because when you begin to have people invest in themselves, mm-hmm. It's a feeling that they get.
Right.
When you invest in yourself, you're like, I did that. So the opportunity guide focuses on 3 areas. How to prepare for an opportunity. Most people aren't prepared for opportunities.
That's true.
They don't have stuff aligned. They not at all. The second part, how to keep an opportunity. Now you've prepared for an opportunity, but now you don't even know how to keep the opportunity that you have. And then the last part, which is something my mentor always taught me, which is pay it forward. The last part is how to provide an opportunity. And that book was written specifically for young people who need a quick read. That book is not long at all. That book does not take, you can finish that book in easily an hour just by going through it. And if you do the worksheets I put, it's a very interactive book. It's opposite of my first book. So that's what the second book is about. So I really wanted to teach people that there are stages and levels to opportunities. You can't just say, well, somebody owes me. Nobody owes you anything. But it's your duty to yourself to learn how to prepare for opportunities, how to keep an opportunity, and then how to go out there and provide opportunities to other people.
Okay. And so all of the books are you guys have self-published all your books, and they're all available on Amazon. I haven't gotten to you yet, Isaac, but you guys, yours are available on Amazon.
Oh, absolutely. We'll put everything in the chat for everybody.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then somebody else had another question, and then we will, the images. Michael talks about great idea with the intentional images. That's true. They're about representation. That's absolutely true. And it's glad to see the team Burrell is taking charge of the narrative. That is very true. That's good. Good. And somebody else had asked something, but I lost the train of thought on that one. Okay. Anything else you guys want to share? And then we'll get to Isaac.
No, we're just excited to hear from Isaac.
I know. All right. Mr. Isaac Ford Jr. You want to give a little bit about yourself, and then tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, first of all, I'd like to just applaud Sade Burrell for the incredible woman, mother, author, therapist, businesswoman, entrepreneur, mentor, everything she's doing. And been very impressed by her since I met her at USC. What she didn't say about USC was that while all that stuff was going on, she was awarded the most lucrative graduate school scholarship at USC.
Oh.
While being a single parent mother and while organizing other students that were single parents.
Cool.
So Sade Burrell is a force of nature. And as you can see, her kids are going to be following her stead.
Absolutely.
And, so anything she does, I support. So we talked about processes, but my book Up from the Bottom, a memoir, is a book about tragedy, resilience, forgiveness, and unconditional love. And it ties in a lot of things that we don't typically hear about when we talk about people that come from humble beginnings. Which is a richness of a lot of the communities that we come from. And so, be it the tracks, the cut, the bottom, whatever the case might be, images, a lot of people, especially outside of a community, have images of doom and gloom, but there are a lot of gems in those communities. And most of those are in the form of Black women, a lot of strong Black men as well. And so I wanted that to be a part of my process. And I wanted to tell my truth, but I took great pains to make sure that I kept people whole. And so the book has been in me for about 25 years. And ironically, the push that I needed came in 2018 at the 50th anniversary, convention of the NABSW. And I actually met my CPS caseworker in an elevator. In a conversation, I just said hello. 10 minutes later, I found out that she was my CPS caseworker from 41 years ago. And the last time we were in the same space together, I was in the ICU in Augusta, Georgia, at 13 years old, fighting for my life as a result of actions that my mother took. So you can't make that up. So that was a push that I needed. I wrote the book in 5 months. I called Sade Burrell. And I said, I need an editor. So she connected me to Lakia Brandenburg, which is phenomenal. And I told Lakia Brandenburg, I said, I'm going to write a book. And I want my book to be ready by the next NABSW. Tell me what I need to do. So she kind of blew me off and told me to write 35,000 words and call her back. So I called in 5 months and sent her what I had. She said, you got a book. And so at the end of the day, my process in the beginning and what I would suggest for people, decide who you're writing the book for.
Right.
The book was about my own healing, but also wanted to make sure this book was for anybody from any age that may have wondered whether or not where they started or chapters and events in their life, whether or not it was possible to move forward from those things and not just survive, but actually thrive.
Mhm.
And so it's about faith, it's about resilience, it's about a lot of about social justice, a lot of things in there. And so that was one of the first things I did. And when I decided I want to do my memoir, I went to Barnes and Noble and I looked at other memoirs and looked at the back of the book.
Mhm.
It's called a back sales copy. And so the back sales copy is your quick, down and dirty commercial. That's what people flip over and look at it and say, yeah or no, I want to write about this book.
Mhm.
And so I did some research, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't too geeky, but I wanted to make sure it was something that anybody could comprehend. It was an easy read. And
Right.
being a social worker, I actually put some resources in the back of the book. And so outside of that, what Lakia told myself and Sade, you can get a book, but once you get the book, you got to sell the book.
Right. Right.
And so the question of whether or not you want to go with you want to be an independent author or whether or not you want to go with a publisher
Mhm.
is a big question. Because some people believe that because you go with a publisher, that automatically they're going to do all the work and magically you're going to get a lot of money and it's there.
No, that doesn't. No.
Even if you get a publisher,
Right.
you have to promote the book.
Mhm.
You have to sell it. And what do you sell at Sade? Everywhere.
Mhm.
Who do you talk to? Everybody. And so if you believe in it, then other people will believe in it.
Right.
And so you have to understand that there are many facets to that. And again, Sade took this to a whole nother level because when you hear the term Lakia Brandenburg, she taught me this term entrepreneur. So it's not just the book, but it's about speaking. It's about masterclass. It's about podcasts. It becomes a life of its own if you do it
Okay.
right. And then you don't want to step on your book too quickly because it takes time to get it out there. So I'm an independent author as well. And the benefit of that, well, the downside is you put up all the upfront money.
Right.
The good thing is you own your book, you own your copyright.
Mhm.
So I, along with Sade, well, I have a copyright from the Library of Congress for the print. And I actually have an audio book, so I have a copyright for that. So let's say, for instance, somebody one day said, you know what, we want to take Sade's first book or the children's books or her children's books, and we want to make it a movie.
Mhm.
If you own it, then you make the money.
Right. Right.
If a publisher has it, the publisher gets paid for that. And then the math on this thing. So if you sell a book for let's say $20, and the book costs $4, $4.20 to print.
Mhm.
And if you go on Amazon, well, if you have a publisher, they're going to get a big chunk.
Right. Right.
Then Amazon's going to get 55%. Barnes & Noble's going to get 40%. And so before long, that's something you want to look at up front because you get a chance to keep a lot more of your money if you self-publish and if you are motivated enough to get it out there and push it. And so my background, military, law enforcement, a whole bunch of things, but I did a whole lot of recruiting, sales. I taught that in the Marine Corps. And so my mindset was if I could sell everything I sold from USC to the Marine Corps, to shave your head and go to boot camp and go to war, I can sell my book.
Absolutely.
And so by doing that, one of the things I didn't think about early on, and Sade can chime in on this as well, people that buy the book from you individually, that's a beautiful thing. You're getting a lot more of your money.
Right.
But what I didn't do for almost 2 years is those people I sold the book to face-to-face and through my website, I didn't say, Sade, if you like this, do a review for me. People are saying, they're giving you good feedback, but you want them to do reviews because that's metadata.
Right.
is putting stuff out there. So now, my book for the last 2 years, it was written into curriculum as a case study for resilience at USC.
Oh,
So Social Work 637, they've been using my book for 2 years. They have to buy my book. They read the book. I do a guest lecture piece, and then they do a paper on my life. And so they do a biopsychosocial, they pull me apart. So I tell them at the end of those classes, if you like the book, go and do a review for me. And what does that do? That gives more activity. And then that keeps your book from being reduced in price.
right, right.
And so now my book is 5 stars on Amazon print, is 5 stars audiobook. So you always have to be thinking about how things affect your book. And so with Sade doing the things she's done with school and doing bigger ticket things, she's able to sell a lot more of her books because she can say, okay, I'm speaking, but also books going to be a part of this. So she's moving a whole lot more books with that.
So
And so it's always ways just sharing knowledge with each other.
okay.
And I have a young lady, or two people I've been talking to for about a year and a half, giving them pointers, sharing things I learned from Sade and I learned from Lakia. And they're about to publish their own books. One just published a book a week ago. So you share that information and tell people not only how to start the process, how to get through the process, how to sell the book, and just share that knowledge. And so my thought process in the beginning was that if my book helps 10 people, then it's worth it.
Right.
I've been blown away, and I'm very humbled by some of the things people have said, both in class, out of class, in reviews. And so you never know. All of us have a story to tell. And it's a very personal thing to tell your story. But understand this, especially in our communities, a lot of people in our communities need to hear our stories. And because there are a lot of people out there saying, I thought about doing what Sade did for herself and for kids, but she's doing it.
Right.
And I thought about this old guy, Isaac, that did it at 53. He's doing it. So at the end of the day, just believe in yourself, put the work in. I wasn't the most disciplined on the word count. Some days I did 50 words, some days I did 1,500. Some days, some weeks I didn't do anything. So you set a date and you have to discipline yourself to work toward making the goal to hit that date.
Okay. All right, I have a question for Sade and so when you were doing your book, well, 2-part question. When you were doing your book, what was your process? Did you set a word count per day? Did you say, or did you set a hard target at the end, a hard deadline? Or what did you do?
Yeah, great question. So when I first started writing my book, it's called a writing schedule.
Right.
You need to have a writing schedule. The biggest reason why people never finish their book is because they don't have a writing schedule. And so that's when I literally took what time of day I would begin to write. So I was in school and I had the kids.
Right.
And so I purposely, from the time that they came home from the hospital, they always had a bedtime at 8 o'clock. No matter what, they always went to bed at 8. So I knew at 8 o'clock, I was gonna go from 8 to probably about 9 o'clock doing some schoolwork. And then from 9 to about 10 to 10:30, I was writing. And so I didn't focus, and I started off with time, but time didn't work good for me. I didn't like the time. So I switched over to word count.
Right.
Sade is frozen.
I know. Oh, okay, you're frozen. Okay, how do we unfreeze her? He has to. Okay,
I'm back. I'm back.
She'll come back.
Sorry about
Word
that. I apologize.
count.
So the word count. So set up your writing schedule with a word count. And in a Word document, a regular Word document on Microsoft, at the bottom, usually in the left-hand corner, I believe, it's a thing called word count. That's counting your words. And if you're using a Google Doc, and I actually recommend people use Google Doc to write. The reason why I recommend Google Doc is because with Word, if you don't save it everywhere on the cloud, then you lose it. But with Google, you can write from anywhere as long as you have access to a Google account. So on Google, you can highlight all the words and you can see how many you have. Now, every genre of book has a different amount of word counts in order for it to be considered a book. Right. So a bibliography might have a certain word count, like 35,000, which is what Isaac was talking about. Some books only require 10,000, 25,000, etc. But I created that writing schedule. Right. And then you need to have an end date. When do you want to have this thing done? Right. People I just want to have, no, you gotta have a word count, a writing schedule, and figure out either time or word count, and then you go from there. And I just want to touch on something Isaac said real quick, and I'll back off. The Amazon versus not being on Amazon. So when my first book, I put it on Amazon because I didn't really know, but that breakdown Isaac gave to y'all, that was gold, because they really take that amount of money from you because Amazon shipping it out to you, etc. Mm-hmm. With my second book, I used Ingram Sparks, ingramsparks.com. Ingram Sparks, I order the books myself, and people only could get that second book through my website, because I started realizing that I get a bigger chunk of my book profits if I do everything myself. Now it takes time. Like somebody ordered a book from me a few days ago. I have to go to the library or go somewhere to print it out, etc., to print out the shipping label and all this other stuff. I got to print all that stuff out. I have to do that's on me. Amazon is good for if you just want to write a book and you don't want to be responsible for anything else. Let them go through there. That's great. But I wanted to keep a larger profit of the money. And same thing with the kids with their book. Now with Ingram Sparks, it allowed them to distribute their book through all kind of channels. So when their grandma was in Virginia, she was like, "Hey, my friend's trying to buy the book. It's on eBay and it's here." I was like, "Oh, no. And they can set the price to whatever they want to." I said, "Nope." I immediately took it off every platform. And I only kept it on the Gumroad website, which is what you got the link in the chat. So you have to think about these things. But for anyone getting started with writing a book, the first step is literally setting a writing schedule. You can't sell a book that's never written.
This is true. This is very true. Anybody else have any questions? I think this is excellent. This is great information. I'm looking in the chat to see if anybody else has any questions or let's see. No, let me see. No. Michael says, our story must be told. Well said, Isaac. Nice reminder that our life sojourn will be a lesson for someone else. So your life journey will be a lesson for someone else. Anybody else have any questions or anything? We have a few more minutes. We have, this is supposed to go to 7:30.
Deborah, if it's okay, if I ask Isaac a question?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Isaac, can you break down, like once you're done with the writing, could you talk about the steps after that? So if someone's done with writing right now, could you talk about the steps of what's next?
So you can, like I said, you're more savvy. You can go to Ingram Sparks yourself. A friend of mine here in Temecula, Tasha Huff, she used a publisher, but she went through Ingram Sparks herself. And she actually planned on releasing the book like in January. But she went in there tinkering around, and the book went live like now. so she didn't have any lead time. It's a good book, but so from the standpoint of like Sade said, it was a schedule. When I spoke to Lakia, I told her, I said, this is the date I wanted to be out. I wanted my book to be in my hands when I came to the 2019 NABSW conference, because I wanted to put that in the hands of my CPS caseworker. So she told me what I needed to do to meet that timeline. And so, like Sade said, then I stayed on. I made sure that even though I got off schedule here and there, I made sure I met that deadline so that it would be prepared. I mean, would be out, published with plenty of time for some built-in cushion, 3 weeks here and there. And then from that time frame, when you start writing it, you put the date out that you want to be released, and then you got to start promoting it. So I saw Sade, she was promoting her book 2 and 3 months out, and I followed her lead on that. And so you want to do that to get that in anticipation. And I remember having a conversation with Sade, and she said that she had it's like $8,000 in orders because she's tying into her speaking. And so letting people know upfront, everybody that you know, especially as an independent, your church, your family, your network, social workers, military, Greek life, whatever.
Mhm.
You talk to everybody and let them know. And then when they get the book, you get them to as many times, whenever possible. Sade and I did an event with Deborah Davis Gillespie with Cox Communication. There's 3 reads with Isaac. And the first thing I thought about, Sade. I found 3 or 4 black authors and say, hey, I want them to be on as well. And we got a chance to plug our books. And so every time you talk to somebody, be it podcasts, be it wherever you can talk, that's somebody that didn't know. That's another opportunity for you to get on a podcast somewhere and get free advertising for your book. And so somebody asked me, do you get paid for those? No, not really. But if you're on some podcast, you may sell 2 books. Some you may sell 100.
Right.
You may get speaking engagements.
Right.
And so you just never know. But in terms of that process, putting the date out there, and then from the date, then your marketing plan, beyond that. You want to do a book launch. Sade did one in San Diego, with Escondido, really nice.
Mhm.
And I did one in Augusta, Georgia. And then I did one in San Diego. And so you want to do a book launch, and then sit and look. You can do Barnes and Noble without contracting with them every weekend somewhere different, and they'll prep stuff, and they'll get like 40% of it. They'll order like 25 books. People buy the book at the cash register, and once they show the receipt, you sign it. So if 22 books are sold, it's like $500. I'll walk with $350 any Saturday, any Sunday.
Right.
Anywhere in the country, you can do that. And even when I go travel sometimes, I went to my niece's wedding in Atlanta a couple of months back. So I popped into, because I don't contract with Barnes & Noble nationwide,
Right.
because they'll cut the price of your book. So I'm not contracting with them. But I went into 5 or 6 Barnes & Nobles. I got the business cards. And so now that's a business expense. My niece's wedding is a business expense because I was marketing my book. So of course the LLC, everything you do, the money you spend on the book, promotions, website, everything, that's a part of your business. And it was a business tax deductible. And anywhere you go and you talk to somebody, you buy a meal, a lunch, a business card, that's a business expense for your book, your speaking as an entrepreneur.
Okay, so what you're telling people, and this is what I've read too, is that writing the book is a big part of it, because you can't market anything that hasn't been written. But whether you self-publish or independent, independently published or go to a publisher, you're still going to be responsible for a large part of the marketing, or almost all of the marketing. You're still going to be responsible for that.
If you don't, you'll be disappointed.
Right. And you're not going to make any money. And you want to get your story out, but you also want to make some money. You also want to be able to support your stuff and support your kids and have the kids support you with their books.
So you can't be discouraged by what you read. I remember reading something online that said a very successful year for an independent author might be making $500 to $1,000.
Okay.
I'm like, who are you talking to?
Right. Right. Well, you're talking to somebody who hasn't done any marketing.
As somebody that just got the boxes in the mail and just sit in the bedroom,
Right.
you know, you can make $1,000 in a day.
Right. Right.
$1,800, and I made $1,800 at my book signing. Sade probably made more than that. And so you can make a lot more money than what the internet says.
Right. Right. Well, you know, the internet, well, you know, we all know about the internet. So what it can and cannot say. Okay. I don't know. Has anybody, I know Beverly has written a book or two. Anybody else? Anybody else want to?
I think Barbara has her hand up.
Barbara? Oh yeah, Barbara. You're on. Okay, Barbara, go ahead. Ask a question.
Thank you so much. This is a lot of good information. I'm really soaking it all in. This is wonderful. I do have a question, and it can be to either Isaac or Sade. It's two questions. Isaac, you talked about putting upfront money, and I do understand that it would be different based on the book genre, but can you give me an idea of how much upfront money I would need to self-publish? And who determines the price point of the book?
Okay, so real quick, I was charged about $2,200-$2,300 by my editor, and this is what I got. I got 3 rounds of edits, cover design. I'm a photographer, so I took a picture, the picture you see on my book. I took that picture. They came up with 3 different renderings. I put it to my family and said, you guys pick the one you like. They voted on that one. So we used that one with some Photoshop, of course. So outside of that, the amount of pages determines price. And then like Sade said, black or white or color pictures determines price. But for that, I got cover design. I got the internal design of the book. And I said 3 rounds of editors, and I didn't have to upload anything. Lakia actually did. She did all the uploading for me. And then even to the point of setting up for my application for my copyright she did all of that for $2,300. But after that, it was all me. And so the price point, we had this conversation, said, okay, Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, they like $36.40. Sade and I, we're pretty hot, but we're not there. So I said, how about $24.98, $24.99? And so by doing that, you got that built in there where if somebody wants to reduce you or get a piece, well, Amazon's going to get a piece, you've got some built in there where you can still make a profit. Mm-hmm. And so you decide. I decided the price. I decided the length of the book. I decided how many pictures. And I think I was giving them like up to 20 pictures. And so it's completely up to you. So the longer you go, the more soft paperback is going to be cheaper than hard copy. And then like I said, color. Now, children's books, a lot more expensive because of all the color. Mm-hmm. And if you're an artist yourself, it's going to be a lot easier because you can do it yourself. Mm-hmm. But so Sade, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you brought up great points. The only thing I would add to that is that the way I do it is because I had a t-shirt business before, and my mentor taught me you charge 50% more of whatever it costs, to make it. So like when I had a t-shirt, $10 for everything on the t-shirt, once you print it, etc. So I charged $20. I tried to bring that same model over to books, and it didn't necessarily work. So with my first book, I can't remember how much. I think it's like $15.99 on Amazon or something like that. And then my second book, that one is $20. The reason why is because it's that book is smaller, but it's a bunch of more pages with color. So I don't have a choice because it cost me about $8 to $9 to print that book. Right. And so I have to charge $20 for that particular book. Now with the kids, their book is $20 when you buy it online, and then we say free shipping. Because at first I was just doing $20 and plus shipping. I'm like, no, people weren't buying it because it was too expensive. So what we started doing was, this is actually a campaign that we're going to start doing soon. So what we did was, with their book, we put it on Gumroad for $20 and we say free shipping. So now people are more likely to buy it because it says free shipping. So I don't mind paying $20 free shipping. So I learned that through psychology, you know, that's
Right.
you learn that stuff. However, how much I made a mistake with my first book. When you have a dream and a goal, you got to go for it. I don't always recommend this. I was a single mom with 2 kids with no job at this time. But I got another scholarship outside of the scholarship that I was getting. Got a scholarship for $5,000. I took that money and I invested in the book.
Ah,
I do not always recommend that.
okay.
Many nights we were hungry. You know, we drink. I was drinking the water to stop my stomach from rumbling. But when I look at it now, this is the best thing I ever did, because when I dropped the book, I made all that money back. Immediately I made that money back. Right. And so with my second book, I paid the same price that Isaac did, and I got the same resources. And I actually had Lakia go back and re-edit my first book, because she didn't do my first book. Lakia did my second book. She edited, did the cover, everything. And then so I said, yeah, the first book, I said, I ain't the smartest person in the world. So if I found a mistake, there's more mistakes. So Lakia went back and edited that book. And I changed the cover of that book too. And the way I marketed it, how do you come back from that? Because that's kind of embarrassing. Like, oh, you got a few spelling mistakes. How do you come back from that? You tell people, you have my old book with that old cover? Yeah, I got that book with the old cover. That's a vintage book. You want to keep that, because that was when I was at my lowest, and I used whatever resource. I put a spin on it. I put a spin on it. That's what you do. I put a spin on it. So I said, you should keep that one and then buy the new copy so you can read and it makes sense. So, so I put a spin on that one. And then with the kids' book, with their book, if it costs $20, we change our marketing. We're marketing as a family book where the family sits down and reads it, and they read 3 pages every night together as a family, because families need to come together now. Now you don't mind spending $20 on a book, because this is for your family, not just a book.
Right.
Yeah, $5,000 up front the first time, and then the second time I did it, it was about $2,300, about $2,400 for everything on the second time. And then of course, when I have to ship things out, like my kids, they by the way, their book is going to be going to single parents at a college. Their book is going to be at a college, and it's going to be going to single parents. They're going to read it to their kids. My book is there too. So they get to speak in LA. I get to speak in LA, and we all make profit, because not only the books, but we also get speaking engagement fees as well. All 3 of us get speaking engagement fees. So all of that to say that when I order, I think they're ordering like, let's see, 200 copies of my book. I have to pay for that up front. That's like $3,000. That's when I speak to make money, to put that in a business account, put that to the side. I don't touch that. I don't live off that. I don't pay myself a salary, nothing, because I know that people are going to order books, and I need $2,000, $3,000 to pay for those books. Same thing with their book. They're ordering 100 copies of their book. That's a guaranteed $2,000 plus shipping and everything like that, $2,200 probably. So I need to have minimum $5,000, $6,000 in my business account so I can order the book. But on the back end, we'll make off of that probably about $8,000.
Right.
Wow. I love it. I love it. One thing that I would like to say, when you said that you made a mistake, you didn't make a mistake. You learned a lesson. So let's reframe that. Don't say you made a mistake. You learned a lesson.
I appreciate that, sister.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, Barbara, you can put your hand down. Your hand is still up. All right. It is 7:32, and I know the kids have to be in bed by 8 o'clock. We don't want to keep them up past their bedtime.
They're older now. Now it's 9 o'clock. I got a middle schooler. 9 o'clock now for her.
Okay.
My youngest daughter went to bed at 8 o'clock.
Yes, I believe in bedtime for kids too. So that's right up my alley. You know,
Because it's great for parents.
it absolutely.
My youngest daughter's bedtime was 8 o'clock when she was in elementary school. She continued that through high school, and she still go to bed at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And she's a grown woman with a child.
Okay.
But it is important.
I don't know about you guys. This has been good.
Very good.
Yes, and
Thank you
hopefully,
for your leadership. Thank you for putting this on. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. Thank you for everybody that
Thank you.
participated.
You're welcome. You're
And-
welcome.
I had a manuscript trademarked back when I was at Cuyamaca, and I've given it away a lot. I might go on and embellish it.
And publish it.
And it's already done. It's been in Mississippi, it's been in Florida, it's been in Richmond. So I guess I better do something with
Can't
it.
wait to buy it, Dr. Powell. It's time to publish it.
Oh my.
I,
Guys, I'm retired.
Deborah, you didn't say anything about your book on Black fathers,
hey, you know what? But this is giving me good ideas.
because Deborah has published a book as well.
Oh, it's not published. No. It's written. It's not published.
Oh, okay. I thought it was published.
No, it's written. It is written. So look for it soon. All right, Dave.
Do you still have the sound?
Who's that? What sound?
Isaac was using my phone and it just went off.
Oh, it did?
Well, I
Okay.
don't know why.
Right. Good night, everybody. This was
Okay.
great.
Thank you
Bye.
again.
Wonderful presentation. Thank you, everybody.
Michael, simplify.
Hey, Michael, good to see you. Appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Very good
Proud of you,
information.
super proud.
For thought.